Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have this really beautiful spring card set to share with you, so let's jump right in. So I am actually going to be hosting a challenge over on my Facebook group. If you're at all interested in checking that out, I will have the link down below, and we will get into that a little bit further into the video. So if you've been with my channel for a minute, you will be a little surprised that I am not going to add a black mat to these cards. I'm going to leave the white border of the card base instead, just because it gives it a lighter look. So I'm going to cut my HammerMill cardstock down to about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the A2 base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when scored. So I'm going to create 6 cards, so I need 6 panels, and I'm going to do one of my favorite techniques, which is ink blending. If you caught my ink blending tips video, you will see that I'm going to use all of those tips in this video, because that is how I do all the time. So you can see I have the domed foams, I have where I will start off of the card panel, I'm on a slick surface, all that stuff. If you missed that video, I will link it for you so you can go check it out. So for my colors, I'm going to use, of course, the rainbow. You guys know, again, if you've been with me for a minute, the rainbow color palette is one of my favorite. It always makes me smile, and it makes me think of spring for whatever reason. I think it's just because of it's kind of a pastel one that I've chosen. So for my colors, I have spun sugar and worn lipstick for my pinks. Then I have dried marigold and spiced marmalade for the orange, squeezed lemonade and mustard seed for the yellow, twisted citron and mowed lawn for the green, tumbled glass and mermaid lagoon for blue, and then for purple I have shaded lilac and wilted violet. And of course these are all Oxide inks because those are my favorite to blend, but any water-based ink generally blends pretty well from my experience. But if you don't own them, try the inks that you have and see what happens. It can't hurt to give it a go. It's just paper, so if you don't like it, you can always, turn it over and try again. I am going to bring the lightest color about 2/3 of the way down the panel, and then bring my darkest color up in the bottom. That's really just because I want a little bit of dimension to my color. I don't want one flat color. So that's why I opted to go with 2 colors in each family. As you see from the starting picture, the bottom color does get covered up a little bit, so you're not going to see it as drastically as you can see it here with the blending, but I do want that kind of different color going on the bottom, so that just adds a little more depth and dimension to the card panel as we go. So for the challenge, I have decided this month, the month of March, I'm going to host a challenge over on my Facebook group. It's a really fun group. I'll have a link to it at the top of the description if you're interested. It's really just a group of people who hang out and share what they're working on. It's pretty chill. You do have to request to join the group. You have to answer 2 questions. They're very, very simple questions. Ultimately, it's just how you heard about the group, and you're not going to be a jerk while in the group. It's pretty much what the questions are. So you just answer those 2 questions, and then I will, of course, accept you into the group. And this post will be up. It's up as of Saturday, because Saturday was the 1st of March, though this is my kind of example for the challenge. So the challenge is to create a spring-themed project. It doesn't have to be a card. It can be a tag. It can be a journal page. It can be a painting. It can be whatever you want to work in. It does not matter. The only rules to it is that it does need to be made within March. So please don't post something you made months ago that you think fits the theme. The whole idea of this is to kind of create something, sometimes it's a struggle. And I find, especially after winter, I struggle a bit to get creative and to do things. I'm struggling a little bit in general. Winter kind of does that to me. And so I wanted to kind of do a fun challenge where, you would be encouraged to create something, whatever it is, and just enjoy that, and then share it with a group of people who are going to appreciate, just that you got creative. So so the theme is spring. So ideally a spring color palette and a focal point. So as you can see here, I'm going for a pastel rainbow for the most part, with a little bit of darkness on the bottom to give depth. And I'm going with florals, because florals to me always make me think of spring, just because that's when the flowers start to come up. That's when we start to see those colors come through, so that's kind of what spring is for me. So spring color palette and focal. It has to be made in March. you're going to share it in the Facebook group. That's why you kind of need to be a part of the Facebook group. I mean, if you don't want to join the challenge directly and you just want to create something, you can share it on Instagram or whatnot and just tag me so I can come and see it. But ideally, you're in the Facebook group so I can see it. And any type of project, as I said, it can be, cards, tags, ATCs, journal pages, paintings. You can make a 3D project if that's the way you go. Whatever you want to create, as long as it's spring themed and made in the month of March. And I will, at the end of the month, put a bunch of names, everybody who's entered. You can do it more than once, too, if you want to. I'm only going to make one project because I'm not actually entering the challenge. I'm just hosting it. But if you were struggling for an idea, I wanted to show you kind of what that meant to me. And if you can see my my left hand constantly going off the screen, it's because I have a kitten on the desk who's trying to chew on stuff. So I keep having to discourage her. She will pop in on the panels here in a minute and come and help me create these cards. But that's why my hand keeps popping out of frame. But yeah, so I will be picking a name at the end of March. Actually, probably my husband will. And that person, I'll reach out to them on Facebook. And if they're comfortable, they can give me their mailing address and I will send something their way as a thank you for entering. And like I said, you can enter as many times as you want. There's no limit. That'll just put your name in several times. But again, like I said, please make sure it's a project you've actually made in the month. This is really to encourage people to, if you've been struggling a little for ideas or you've just been having a hard time through winter like I do, this is just kind of something fun to do together through March. So you can come check out the Facebook group. As I said, I will have it linked and listed down below, and you just click on that link and you just have to answer those 2 questions and then you can come and hang out with us. And it is a pretty great group. We share pictures of our animals, we share recipes, we share crafty projects. It's just a really fun group that is very supportive and kind. So of course kindness is important to me. So don't come in and be a jerk because you'll get kicked back out. But otherwise, we would love to have you. So back to my cards, I'm going to splatter some perfect pearls on the background now that I've got all my colors blended the way I like. Again, this is just because I like how it looks. If you don't have a splatter or you don't like the splattered look, no problem. Don't add it. I tend towards dimension and texture in my cards, though sometimes I avoid it. It just depends on what project I'm working on. But for these ones, I did want that extra texture of the glittery splatter. And then I brought in the Tim Holtz Flower Field die. I don't know if it's still available. Everything I used will be linked and listed down below if it's still available. If it's not, I try to find something similar, though sometimes I don't find the similar items. So it really just depends on how that goes. Like the stamp that I used to do my little sentiment, it was the only spring stamp I had in my stash. And it is from a Simon Says stamp set that came out a few years ago. So I don't even think it's available. But as I said, I'll try to link something similar if there is something similar. If not, just use what you have. I mean, these are all older items that I used. Like this die set came out, I believe, beginning of last year. I think. And yeah, so I mean, use what you have in your stash. And here you can see that this is Aqua. She's one of my kittens. She was also in the ink blending tips video. She just loves to hang out. It's pretty cute. And this die doesn't cut the bottom, so you can have it be as tall or as short as you want it to be. So luckily for me, the die does kind of etch a line in the base, so I'm just cutting along that line so that I can have them be, close to the same height. They're not exact, but they're pretty close, because when I go and stamp my sentiment, I don't move it from my Misti, and you'll see that they're pretty much close to where they need to be to nestle nicely into the little bouquet of wildflowers. Or I guess it's not a bouquet, it's just a field of wildflowers. So I think that turned out really pretty. So I just trimmed off the bottom there, and I did use white glitter cardstock, and you can see the power of editing. I have 6 of these. I only made you watch me cut 1, and I did use my chrome base plate with my switch for this, just because this is such a delicate die with all those really thin stems. So I find using my chrome base plate just guarantees that I get a really good cut with glitter cardstock. So that's what I did. And you could, of course, add double-sided tape to this before you went in and, die cut them. But for something that loses this much of the cardstock, I kind of don't like to use double-sided tape. I just go in with glue and I just add it wherever I want it to be on the back. I find that to be the easiest way for me to do it, but you could of course use double-sided tape or, put an adhesive on it before you die cut it, and then you could just remove that and then stick them down. But my preference is always going to be liquid glue just because I get that little bit of wiggle time to line it up the way I want it. So that is kind of what I lean towards. And then I am lining it up to the bottom. And you can see here, this is where you're going to lose some of that darker color. You're not going to see it as much. You get way more of the light color on the ink blending. And I really like how that looks. I love the dimension that kind of gave. And I am using my Misti just to weigh down the panels as they are adhering so that I'm not worried about, the little flowers lifting and then catching and ripping off. So I mean, use anything you have on your desk that's heavy. I have my Misti sitting here anyway. It stays on my desk all the time, but I'm about to stamp a sentiment. I just chose to adhere the wildflowers first so that I knew where I wanted my sentiment placement to be, and then I'm going to use my Misti so I can stamp it in the same place on all 6 cards. And I did choose 6 again just because I went with a rainbow color palette. You don't have to make a card set for the challenge. You just have to make one project really. And then that'll kind of be, perfect for the challenge. But hopefully you guys are excited about the challenge. I'm excited to see what everybody creates. I love seeing other people make things. It's probably one of my favorite things. That's the whole reason I started the channel in the first place, was because I wanted to share my love of creativity with others. Because a lot of the time people always, especially in person, not so much online, though it does happen, but in person, I'll show somebody a project I've made, or I'll talk about something that I'm working on, and they'll be like, oh, I wish I could be as creative as you. And I'm kind of like, well, you can be, anybody can be creative. Creativity is, kind of a practice skill like anything else, learning music or playing an instrument or cooking, or, it's all a learned skill. So the whole reason I made my channel was to share my passion for creating with people who didn't think that they could do it. So I love seeing other people's creations, and especially knowing that I've inspired them to create something, or I helped them get an idea, or, they just found comfort in one of my videos, or whatever you guys feel when you kind of hang out with me, that's always incredibly exciting for me to hear. So I hope you guys will join in on the challenge. If you don't want to, that's okay too. You just came to check out the video. That's great. I appreciate the support. So thank you so much to my members. You guys make it so that it's possible for me to do this. I greatly appreciate you. I do have members on the channel. If you guys are interested, there's a link to that as well. You can go check it out to see if it's something you might be interested in. But of course, no pressure. If you feel up to it, great. If not, that's okay too. Just watching the videos is always super, super great for support. And if you're on my channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. My goal for this year, hopefully, is to hit 25,000 by the end of the year. I don't know if that's a crazy idea or not, but that's the goal. That's what I'm trying for. So I hope that if you enjoy my content, you will consider subscribing and come back and watch some more. I have a lot of fun stuff planned for this year, I think. So including a beginner series that I'm hoping to start this month, so that I can go into the basics, because I have had a lot of people comment that they're beginners and they have no idea what they're doing. And I know how intimidating it can feel to come in and have no real idea of what you're trying to do. So I do have a beginner series coming as well, so you can look out for that. So in my Misti here, I have the spring is coming sentiment. Obviously, that's, me dreaming, because I still have a little bit of winter left as a person who lives in British Columbia in Canada, and northern British Columbia at that. But I can dream. And I have a waffle flower mat in my Misti. That's how I can hold my panels in there without any magnets. I prefer not to use magnets if I can avoid it. So I have a Misti. It's like a mat from Waffle Flower that's sticky, and you just kind of can set your stuff in, and then that allows me to line up my panels so that I can stamp in the same spot. And here you see I stamped in the same spot in each card, and it's still nestled. So most of my flowers are pretty much the same height So I did cut enough of the bottom off, though, like I said, like the purple one I think is slightly larger than the others, but not a problem, super easy. And you could just move the stamp if that was an issue, but it worked out really well. So now I'm just going to adhere them all to the bases. And you can see I did not do any mat of any kind. I did kind of consider doing a glitter one, but in the end I decided not to. I'm happy with the white outline of the card base. Generally, I add a black mat. That's pretty much my go-to. But I find that it can make your card feel a little bit heavier. And I wanted this one to be very airy and light, this card design, because that makes me think of spring again, right? That's kind of my whole idea, is that you're going to create something that makes you think and feel spring. So that's kind of what I was leaning towards. And I am so incredibly happy with how this card set turned out. I love it. I love the colors. I mean, this is pretty much my jam right here. Some glitter, we're going to add pearls here in a minute because I cannot stop myself when it comes to embellishments, but blended in rainbow pastel color. Like, this is my favorite type of card set to make because I look at it and I smile. It just brings me so much happiness to have this kind of a card set going on. So I was in my like element when I was making this. But of course, if you guys have been with me for any length of time, you know that I love pearls. I love them so much. They are my favorite embellishment. I want to add them to everything because they always just feel elegant to me. So I love how they finish off a card, but these cards were beautiful without. So if you don't have any embellishments, don't worry about it. I mean, or you could die cut little circles if you have a little circle die or a punch or, whatever you have on hand, use it. You don't have to buy new things to do this unless you want to. I mean, whatever, but you can use what you have on hand to create cards. I mean, generally, I haven't actually bought anything new for a little bit now. I did buy some pattern paper for a project recently, but I haven't purchased anything new recently. So I'm kind of a big believer of using what you have in your stash because it needs a little love. So bust it out and use it up. And that's kind of the fun of being creative. So that is the cards that I have for you guys today. I explained the challenge. Hopefully you guys will join in and be excited about it. I will be live streaming this week, Thursday, the 6th live stream. It is at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're free, come hang out. I don't know what I'm going to be making yet. I am going to be making a project of some kind, but I don't know what yet. So bear with me. There will be a thumbnail. You can check that out if you're interested. And if you're free, come hang out. It's a wonderful group of people. We just kind of visit and chat. And we have a lot of fun in the lives. So if you're available, come hang out. I would love to see you. You can tell me all about what you're up to, and I would appreciate that. So this is the cards that I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday, and every second Thursday is a live stream. And leave me a flower emoji in your comment if you watch the video all the way to the end, because you guys are my favorite people. Thank you so much, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.